over coming to see what you're doing?
I've had a lot of people come. Yeah, I have.
I got a question, Dale. It seems to me like, though, that this in itself is unnatural. I'm just thinking in my head that because it's not out in the open, it's not subject to all the bugs that I inquire in my cute little garden at home. And so, I don't know, I'm just thinking.
No, that's a very good question. The ball game for vital food is the soil, Mother Earth. I mean, that is it. And so this right here is using technology to create an environment. But it's in the soil. And a lot of people would say, we'll just do hydroponics. Well, hydroponics eliminates the soil. It is kind of the ultimate sterile production system is hydroponics. I don't know, are you familiar with what hydroponics is? It's where you have a sterile medium, you grow the plant in it, and you just wash it with nutrient water. And in the United States, you can actually have organic labeled produce come from hydroponic, as long as all of the stuff is organic. There again delineates the problem with the label. In Israel, you cannot have any organic label unless the plant is tied to Mother Earth. It's got to be rooted into Mother Earth. And so what we look for in our holistic balance and lots of bacteria is the soil, because that's Mother Earth. That is where it all comes from. And
there's a huge production of tomatoes up in Snowflake. Is that what they're doing? Raising them? Are you familiar with that?
I would guess that it is hydroponic. It's going to be hydroponic. There's a lot of hydroponic, and it's really easy to do compared to soil. Soil is, you really have to pay attention, and you have to balance things. But that's where the real value comes, is when you excuse me, balance the bacteria, the different organisms, all the microbes. When you balance all of that and you produce this crop, that's where all the life is. And it's, if you eliminate the soil and go straight hydroponic, you may not be able to, by seeing, differentiate the two, but by taste and by vitality, very definitely. Very definitely. It's so important to be in the soil. And so all of this is, everything we do, honestly, everything we do is to build that soil and to try to keep it balanced. Yeah.
Well, like you said, with hydroponics and organics, they're doing the bare minimum to get that plant to grow and produce.
Yes.
But it's not getting those essential nutrients that may give it flavor.
Right.
Or better shelf life.
Yep. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Appreciate your comments. Very good. This is just some more of. We use a lot of plastic because we've got this ground that we came onto last year had grown weeds for 8 years, and so the weed bank is just horrendous. As we move through this, we'll gradually be able to come off from the plastic. We tried to grow some carrots. In fact, this is it right here. These are carrots. We planted all this in carrots, and we did a tremendous amount of work to get it like that. And we didn't use the plastic. And we were hoping we could do it. Well, if you looked at this 3 weeks later, it is so full of weeds. And of course, we're not going to use a herbicide. And so what do you have to do? You got to pill them. You got to pull them. It would have cost us $10,000 to weed that once.
I'll do it for 5.
Sold. Yeah. And so we just had to abandon that. And so we came up with this. This is the way we plant the close space stuff. Is with the plastic. Thank you.
What would have happened had you left the weed with the carrots?
What's that?
What would have happened had you left the carrots there and let them grow with the weeds? With the weeds and choke
We actually did that.
Yeah.
There wasn't much there. Yeah, there wasn't much there. There is, we're going to try, there's a company that makes a mulch that you can design how many months it'll degrade. And so, but it's about 4 times more expensive than the plastic. This plastic, by the way, you can recycle. So, you pull it out, you recycle it. So it's recyclable, which is important.
Does it breathe or is it just black plastic?
It's an embossed, which means it's got kind of a design so that it's really stretchable without tearing, and but it does not breathe. It's a barrier. It's a barrier. The water system is underneath it. Yeah, laid underneath. This is the drip system here, and so you'll hook what we call drip tape onto here. This is the manifold that'll water a section, so you just turn that on. Then we have it individually valved, so we can do multiple crops even in one section. And the drip tape, I don't know if you're familiar with what drip tape is.
I use it in my garden.
Do you? Oh, it's the most wonderful stuff. Yeah, it's just.
Black plastic and drip tape, and
Yeah, it is the way you do it.
tested with blues, and now it's,
Yeah, it's the way you do it.
I don't know, weed once.
Yeah, you can see this right here. There's no weeding here. Which if we had to weed that, I just don't know how you'd do it. It's just beyond. And we've got ways to do it that is not going to reduce the nutritional value of the food. And so that's really what we're after. And so really it's intensive agriculture, but it's a mix. It's time-tested methods that have been developed for centuries that our forefathers knew. You take those and then you apply technology in a good way, and then you've got something that really can be sustainable and that can feed us. Which kind of brings me to the next. Let me see what we've got here. These are just some of our crops. I'll just kind of show. This is squash here. These are the tomatoes. Some of our greens. So it's good stuff.
With the bugs on the outside crops.
You let them eat some of it. I mean, it's okay.
I've got squash bugs though that'll wipe out my crops.
Yeah.
Like that if I don't.
Yeah. You've got there's different ways, and you really have to track things and watch. We use predator insects as well, and so like for aphids, for any soft-bodied bugs. Well, ladybugs will do it, but we use the name just slipped my. Lacewing, yeah, brown lacewing, which is just, it's voracious, and you just have to match. It's quite a game, really, because you can't put the predator out there if there's nothing for the predator to eat, and so you got to wait till you get an infestation to a certain extent, but you have to really watch it, and then you put the predator, and then it's just kind of this game of of them eating the bug, but at the end of the day, you're still going to lose some of the crop. I mean, there's they say they've got to eat too. So, but that's preferable to the alternative. And so, let's see, what was I going to talk about here before I went on? Slipped my mind.
What do you put in your soil?
What do we put in our soil? The answer to that, probably the very first answer, is if you don't know exactly what you're doing, don't do anything. Because I think one of the biggest mistakes people make is just put stuff. Put stuff. Any kind of organic material is good, but you have to understand when you put it down. I've seen so many people fail in their garden because they will put a lot of organic material down and then plant. And what has to happen, or what does happen? Exactly, exactly. The organic material has to get broken down first, and it's going to take every bit of nitrogen. And then you wonder why the plant is just languishing there. But I put all this organic material. I mean, it should be great. And so it's great, but you have to know when to put it. So there's, you know, organic material is great. I mean, it's great. It just really is. And so the other thing is, you know, cover crops. Green manure. We use all of those kinds of things. Is everybody familiar with what green manure is? It's essentially a cover crop that you then till under.
Like a rye or something like that?
A rye, there's different ones. Hairy Vesh, you know, Austrian peas, some beans, a lot of different beans work really well. So you get some nitrogen fixing, and then you can turn them over, and it's just really good stuff. And so it's just having a lot of attention towards, you know, the soil, just trying to build that soil. And of course, you're going to do rotation. You know, we won't plant. You know, you look at like right here, like we'll plant right here down this row with, say, a tomato or a pepper, and then we'll plant in here the cover crop. So that next time around, then we will put the tomatoes in here, and then this will be cover crop here. And so we're preparing this center for the crop next time around. And so we move from here to here. And of course, if we do tomatoes here, we're not going to do tomatoes here. We're going to do, you know, maybe a squash or something different here. And then tomatoes will maybe come back around here, you know, in 4 years or 5 years. And so it's lots of rotating. Or do that, yeah.
Do you promote, like I've got a little tiny garden, I know Wanda's too. I mean, I'd love to do this year round. I mean, just get these vegetables in my home year round.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've only got a little growing season, and then
Right.
I usually forget about it, and they all go bad, and you know, I spend all the time, and I don't really eat anything. So I'd love to get something consistent like this. But do you promote this in people's gardens? I mean, you teach organic to people like us that do that in their own home?
Yeah, the plan is to do that, because I'm such a believer in the fact that we need to be sustainable ourselves. We have to be independent, and that is exactly the point that I'd forgotten. Is how important local is. We have no idea how important it is. The day's going to come when we're going to say, wow, it was that important. You hear about the risk of terrorism. I mean, that's all you hear about in terms of risk. You know, what's the biggest risk to our country? Well, it's terrorism. Not true. We have set ourselves up for famine, is what we've done, by the way we have done agriculture. That we bring all these vegetables in from Mexico, and we bring the fruit from here, and we do this and we do that. And we don't produce anything here except hay. And I'm not sure that we can eat hay, but I mean, that's what we have. And it's sad. And you think about what would happen if the trucks stop. There are 3 million people living on the Wasatch Front. What do they eat? And a lot of people have food storage that they probably don't even know what they've got. And even those that do, how long is it going to last?